Hey guys, I'm going to make a little bit of a different kind of video today. I'm going to talk about the cost of living in Colombia. And since we're talking about living in Colombia, I decided to just play a video of Bogota, which is the biggest city in Colombia. A lot of people coming to Colombia will probably settle down in Bogota. Most likely Bogota or Medellin. Those are two more popular cities. Bogota is the capital, and Medellin is just a beautiful city with great climate, and it just tends to be popular among expats. Also, I'm not an expert on Colombia, so there's going to be a lot of variation. You're going to hear different things from different people. This is just general idea of what you will be paying. There's also standard of living. In Colombia, you can pay as little as $200 to $2,000 a month for your apartment. It just depends how you want to live, where you want to live, and what you want included in your rent. Now, I got a couple years here, so I do know a little something, but again, your mileage will vary. When I first got here, as far as housing, I did pay a little over $1,000 for my apartment, but it was fully furnished, electricity, everything was included. My recommendation for people that just want a simple setup their first year is Airbnb. You stay there and then you contact the owner or the person that's not the owner but is managing the property. And then you speak to them and make them an offer. And after that, it's just simple negotiation. Airbnb takes a percentage out of their rent before they get it, but your offering is direct payment and a guaranteed tenant the whole year. You do this a couple of times, eventually you find somebody and they're willing to work with you, and you're good to go from there. But after the first year, I started to kind of get to know Colombia, see how things move. I met a lady, met friends, and then my second year is when I started to lower my cost of living. Generally, after your first year, if you know how things move and you build your connections and your friends, you could get an apartment unfurnished from like $450 to $500 a month. And this is not in the best nor the worst of area. This is decent working families, fairly safe neighborhoods. When it comes to utilities, you could expect to pay about between $75 and $100 a month. Again, you're going to hear different things from different people, but this is my experience. And my third most biggest expense is food, mainly because I eat out a lot. So Colombia is very cheap, so it makes it easy to spoil yourself. I started doing the math, and I spend about $250 eating out, because I like to eat out. It's cheap. I'm with my lady, so in the beginning I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just eating out, hanging out with my lady, eating out some more, breakfast, dinner, and because it was cheap, I wasn't really doing the math because I didn't really care. But then when I started doing the math, yeah, about $250 a month eating out. And when I'm talking about cheap, I'm talking about breakfast. It's like $2 to $3. Dinner is more expensive, but not by much. You're talking about $10, $12, and those are really good meals. I spend about $200 a month on groceries, but this is important. I don't eat like most people do. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I eat everything within a 4 to 5 hour window. I do intermittent fasting. So I don't eat as much as most of the people around me. And I also don't go shopping at the fancy supermarkets. So I buy fruits and vegetables from markets, a lot of times I buy things from the streets. I buy meat, and fruits and vegetables consist a big part of my diet. I also have my lady, and she stays with me a lot, so let's say about $200 a month. Again, your mileage will vary. What else? So there's my cell phone bill. If you move here, get claro. I pay about $30 a month. Transportation is a little tricky. I like to use Uber a lot. I find it safer than regular taxis, especially in Bogota. Not so in Medellin, it doesn't really matter to take the yellow cab, but in Bogota, it does. Bogota's a little more dangerous. Unfortunately, there's been several instances where tourists take yellow cabs and they'll put them in gunpoint, and they'll take them for what they call a $1 million ride, and they'll rob you for what you have. They'll take you to the ATM. They'll make you withdraw money. You take a cab, you're riding it, and then while you're in the cab, while you're in the backseat of the cab, somebody else will get into the backseat with you. They hold you at gunpoint, and it's just all downhill from there. So I tend to use Uber a lot. I do the metro in Medellin sometimes, but in Bogota, I always use Uber, and I recommend everybody do the same. So I spend about $100 a month on transportation. Now I brought that down mainly because where I live is like a central place, so I could walk around, I could buy groceries, I could buy food. My lady lives with me, so I don't really need to use Uber as much as I used to. So I brought that down, but I'm gonna go ahead and say 75 to a little over $100. What else? So I also seen other videos where people talk about healthcare in Colombia, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if you're from the United States, it's the least of your worries. Because the United States, healthcare is so expensive. With me, thank God I'm healthy. I don't take medication for nothing. I don't have no major illnesses. I just put about $45 a month to the side for just maybe a checkup once a year, a cleaning of my teeth, and just random things. But you can get health insurance if you want. It could go from as little as $50 to $150, and $150 will got you covered. You will have no problems here with anything. So that's up to you. But again, if you're from the United States, that's the least of your worries. Even if you do take medications and you do have medical issues, again, whatever you're paying in the United States is going to be dramatically less here. So now, of course, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. So if you're retired and you take a lot of medications in the United States or in most other countries, you're automatically covered by their retirement system, by whatever country you're from. So in those cases, you don't really pay much of anything in your own country. So there are exceptions, always going to be exceptions. But if you're fairly healthy, out of all of the things I just stated, out of everything that I pay for, healthcare is the littlest. So you don't have to worry about that as much. And for those of you that do have a lot of medical issues, or for those of you that simply want to feel like you have great health care, well, hey, then you're looking at about $100, $150 a month, which isn't really, again, is not really too bad. And lastly, I would say are the random things that you want to buy, clothes, sneakers. And with me, I like to travel around Colombia. So that is going to be greatly depending on you and the lifestyle you want to live while you're here. So for me, traveling, I do spend a good amount moving around the country. But all in all, Colombia is a very inexpensive country, depending where you're from and the type of lifestyle you're used to living. For me, experiences are more important than the price of the apartment or where I'm living at. As long as I'm in a central place around and I know people and I have somebody by my side, I could live fairly cheap and be comfortable. After the first year, I got my cost down to about 1,500, 1,004, 1,007. It depends on the month, but if I wanted to average it out, I spent about 1,500. And that's it. That's gonna be pretty much it for this video. I please everybody like, share, and subscribe. I don't have too much experience doing these videos, but I want to keep making them, and I appreciate your support. But other than that, until next time, goodbye.